If you're planning to travel to Turkey this year and are thinking about buying your eSIM when you get to the airport, let me stop you right there, because you could end up without internet from the moment you land. Turkey has blocked the websites of the world's most popular eSIM providers, and hardly anyone is explaining this properly. Today, I'm going to show you which eSIMs still work, which ones to avoid, and exactly how to buy yours before you get on the plan. Let's start with the story that changed everything, because if you don't understand this, you're going to make the same mistake that thousands of tourists made last year. On July 10th, 2025, the BTK, which is Turkey's telecommunications authority, made a decision that shook the entire international travel community. Overnight, they blocked access within the country to the websites and apps of the world's most popular eSIM providers. And when I say the most popular, I mean the giants: Airalo, Saily, Nomad, Instabridge, Mobimatter, AlloSIM, BNSM. Those are the first 7, but the list didn't stop there. Today, in 2026, more than 30 international providers are blocked. Now, here comes the detail that nobody really explains to you, and it's the most important part of the whole video. eSIM technology itself is not banned in Turkey. What's blocked are the websites and apps of these providers when you try to access them from a Turkish network. What does this mean in practice? It means that if you arrive at Istanbul airport, take out your phone and open the Airalo or Saily app to buy your plan, you won't be able to. The website won't load, the app just freezes, and meanwhile, you're standing there with your suitcase, no Google Maps, no WhatsApp to let the hotel know you've arrived, nothing. And why did Turkey do this? Officially, the BTK didn't release a clear statement, but experts agree there are 2 main reasons. First, there's a data localization law that requires telecommunications information to be stored on servers within the country, something international providers don't comply with. And second, to protect local operators like Turkcell, Vodafone Turkey, and Turk Telecom, who were losing tourist customers to foreign eSIMs. There's another issue you need to know about: the 120-day rule. If you use your phone with a Turkish SIM or eSIM for more than 120 consecutive days, the government requires you to register your device's IMEI and pay a tax of around $1,000. For regular tourists who stays for a week or 2, this doesn't apply. But if you're a digital nomad or planning to stay long-term, this could really hurt your wallet. Now, the million-dollar question: which eSIM should I buy? Because there are literally hundreds of options, and many of them, even if they let you activate before your flight, won't give you the best experience in Turkey. After reviewing the options that actually work in 2026, 2 clearly stand out above the rest: Saily and Airalo. I'll explain them to you one by one, no filter. Let's start with Saily, which is the one I'd recommend for most trips. Saily is the eSIM from Nord Security, the same people behind NordVPN, so you have a reputable brand backing the product. Their prices for Turkey start at $3.99 for 1 gig, go up to about $7 for 3 gigs, around $12 for 10 gigs, and reach about $23 for 20 gigs with 30 days of validity. All the plans include unlimited hotspot, which is something many competitors quietly limit or block. And they come with useful extras like an ad blocker, web protection, and virtual location, features you'd normally have to pay for separately with a VPN. My take: Saily is ideal if you're going to Turkey for between 5 and 14 days, moving between Istanbul, Cappadocia, or the coast, and you want an eSIM that just works without any surprises. The oddest part? Saily doesn't publicly clarify which Turkish network it connects to. That's a transparency drawback compared to others, but in practice, users report solid speeds in urban and tourist areas. The second option is Airalo, which is the most well-known eSIM on the planet, and the one you've probably already heard mentioned 1,000 times. For Turkey, Airalo has its local plan called Merhaba, which starts at around $4 for 1 gig and goes up to 50 gigs for about $35, valid for 30 days. But here's the catch: Airalo has a regional plan called Eurolink, which covers 42 European countries plus Turkey with a single eSIM. If your trip includes, for example, Spain, Italy, and then Istanbul, you don't need to buy 3 different eSIMs. You just buy one and you're good to go. That's awesome for multi-country trips. The network Airalo uses in Turkey is Turk Telecom, which has solid coverage in rural areas, something Saily doesn't specify. What's the downside of Airalo? For smaller plans, the price per gig is slightly higher than Saily, and installation can be a bit less smooth depending on your phone model. Now, before you think about going with the option that seems obvious, let me warn you about something that few channels mention. Unlimited plans in Turkey are almost always a marketing trap. Saily, Airalo, eSIM, pretty much all the big providers offer an unlimited plan that sounds amazing, but in the fine print, they all have a fair use policy. What does that mean? It means that after you use a certain amount per day, usually between 1 and 3 gigs, your speed drops drastically, sometimes down to 1 megabit per second, which basically means surfing the web like it's the early 2000s. That's why in Turkey, you're almost always better off with a fixed plan of 10 or 20 gigs at high speed than with an unlimited plan that secretly slows you down. So, my honest and straightforward recommendation, if you're only going to Turkey for 1 or 2 weeks, Saily's 5 or 10 gig plan is the best value for your money. If you're coming from Europe or planning to combine Turkey with other countries, Airalo's Eurolink plan is the smart move. Just one eSIM and your problem is solved. And if you need a lot of data, like 20 gigs or more, Saily still wins on price. You've already picked your eSIM. Now comes the part where a lot of people mess up. And I'm being serious. I've seen people pay $20 for their eSIM, arrive in Istanbul, and not be able to use it because they skipped a step. So let's go step by step, without skipping anything. First step, and this is the most important one, buy your eSIM before you get on the plane. I'll say it again, before, not when you arrive, not on the plane, not at the airport. Ideally, 1 or 2 days before your trip, from the comfort of your home with a stable Wi-Fi connection. You go to the website or app of the provider you chose, select Turkey, pick your plan based on the number of days and the amount of data you need, and pay with your card. Within seconds, you'll get an email with your installation QR code, or if you bought it through the app, it'll show up right there. Second step, installation. You have 2 options. The first is to scan the QR code you received by email. Go to Settings, Mobile Data, add eSIM, and scan it with your camera. The phone does everything by itself in less than a minute. The second option, if you bought it through the provider's app, is even easier. The app guides you step by step and installs the profile automatically. Personally, I prefer the second method because there's less room for error. Now here are the most common mistakes that leave travelers without internet so you don't make them yourself. Mistake number 1, not saving the QR code on your phone or in a note before you travel. If you arrive in Turkey and need to reinstall the eSIM, you won't be able to access the provider's email because the websites are blocked. Take a screenshot of the QR code and save it in your photos. Mistake number 2, activating the eSIM too early and wasting days of validity without using it. Mistake number 3, forgetting to turn on data roaming when you land. That option is what activates the plan. And with that, you have everything you need to arrive in Turkey with internet from the very first minute, without overpaying, without waiting in lines at the airport, and without the stress of wondering if your eSIM will work. Remember, in the video description, I've left the best deals so you can use whichever one works best for you. And that is all there is to it.